In this video, I'll show you August 25, 2019. Several officers from the City of Worcester Police Department in Massachusetts were called to Cornerstone Bible Baptist Church to speak with Rachel Rizzuti, the daughter of the church's Reverend Joseph Rizzuti Sr., who allegedly failed to return her 11-year-old child following a custodial visit. According to the Rizzutis, when Miss Rizzuti asked the officers if they had any paperwork or if she was being detained, officers. Nunez responded in the negative, so Miss Rizzuti attempted to leave. Additional officers arrived, including Officer Capabianca, and the interaction that followed was captured by body camera footage.
Who are you? Who are you? Why don't you go inside? You have nothing involved.
Oh, that's my daughter. So okay. Yeah, I do have a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
you
maybe you don't.
This has nothing to do with you.
Tyron, don't tell me. Rachel. Tyron.
You done yelling? You done yelling?
Are you done yelling? Acting like a big shot?
We're all set here. You can go inside.
No, you go on.
You're not going to tell me what to do. You can go inside. You're about to be arrested for disturbing the peace.
Here, Tyron. You keep. Let's get it. Look at him. Look at this guy. Look at him. Hey. What are you doing?
Hey, what are you doing? Oh, you're in a trap! Don't listen!
After Reverend Rizzuti calls the officers, quote, UN, quote, tyrants, an officer threatens to charge him with, quote, UN, quote, disturbing the peace, and when Reverend Rizzuti does not comply with his order to go back inside, the officer chases him into the church, throws him to the ground, and tases him. Now we will discuss the use of force later in the episode. But first it is important to explore whether the officers had any grounds to arrest or detain Reverend Rizzuti. The Massachusetts so-called Disturbing the Peace statute, which is found in Section 53 of Chapter 272. 2 of the Massachusetts general laws simply states that, quote, disorderly persons and disturbers of the peace shall, for a first offense, be punished by a fine of not more than $150. As the Massachusetts jury instructions explain, a conviction requires an individual to engage in conduct that most people would find to be unreasonably disruptive, such as making loud and disturbing noise, tumultuous or offensive conduct, hurling objects in a populated area, or threatening, quarreling, fighting, or challenging others to fight the prohibited. Conduct also includes, quote, uttering personal insults that amount to fighting words, that is, are so offensive that they are inherently likely to provoke an immediate violent reaction. According to the jury instructions, in order to sustain a conviction for disturbing the peace, the government must not only prove that an individual engaged in prohibited conduct, but that the actions were intentional, not done by accident or mistake, and the individual's conduct actually annoyed or disturbed at least one person. However, due to the protections given to speech by the First Amendment, the instructions also clarify that the Disturbing the Peace statute does not apply to offensive and abusive language unless it constitutes now quoting profane, libelous, and insulting, or fighting words which by their very utterance tend to incite an immediate breach of the peace. Additionally, as we have discussed before here on ATA, the 1987 Supreme Court case of City of Houston versus Hill established that the First Amendment protects a significant amount of verbal criticism and challenge directed at police officers unless it is now quoting likely to produce a clear and present danger of a serious substantive evil that rises far above public inconvenience, annoyance, or unrest. In reaching this conclusion, the court quoted Justice Powell's concurring opinion in the 1974 case of Lewis versus City of New Orleans, which suggested that even the so-called fighting words exception to the First Amendment might require a narrower application in cases involving a police officer because now quoting a properly trained officer may reasonably be expected to exercise a higher degree of restraint than the average citizen, and thus be less likely to respond belligerently to fighting words. Therefore, it is highly unlikely that a court would conclude that Reverend Rizzuti's statements as captured on the body camera footage exceeded First Amendment protections, although it is possible that he engaged in additional conduct or speech before the footage began that did constitute disturbing the peace.
You guys need to get back up. Get out of that space and back up.
Just record it. That's all.
Oh, he tased me. Get the state cops here. Oh, he just punched the wall. I'm gonna sit.
Sit down.
Are you on?
I'm okay. Stop, Papa. We need
We're in the church assembly.
What's wrong with you people? These guys are tyrants.
Stay on the ground now.
Let go of me. What's wrong with you?
He's a tyrant.
I'm resisting you.
For him, you're on the ground.
You're
Get on the ground.
Get on the
You're
ground.
psycho.
Stop moving.
You're hurting me.
Listen, buddy.
Let go of me. I'm gonna sue the out of you, so you know.
This guy's been hitting me, kicking me.
Yeah, I'm gonna sue the crap out of him. You're hurting me, man. I
What's
just
his
asked
name?
you to get off my wrist, man.
You're
Get
staying
this
right
guy's
there.
name right here, Capa Bianca. Yeah. Everybody, get this stuff. All because they're trying to bully one of our church members and steal their child.
We'll just sue him, that's all.
I don't know what I did to get
You didn't do
tased.
nothing. They standing there punching
Yeah,
me in
he
the face.
came at me because he didn't
This
like
Spanish
it.
cop right here punched me right in the face.
I know that. Don't be punching us.
You
You know
shut
what?
your mouth.
You need to back away
No,
from
Sergey,
us. We're not animals. What am I arrested for?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, what did I get arrested for?
Get the supervisor here now.
I can't even believe what these guys just did in this church house.
Yeah.
We need to get him up and then him. Which one do you want to get up first? They can get both. We have enough guys now.
Are you kidding me?
Joseph Rizzuti Jr., the son of Reverend Rizzuti and a pastor at the church, asks one of the officers to get his wife, Carissa Rizzuti, quote, quote, checked out because she's pregnant and an officer tackled her. A lawsuit the Rizzutis filed after this encounter claims that an EMT who responded to the church location refused to provide medical care to Miss Rizzuti, allegedly telling her that he was there to treat officers and that he, not examine her because she hit an officer. The complaint also alleges that Miss Rizzuti was never given medical treatment and that after her arrest, she lay on the cell floor for hours without receiving any medical attention. In the 1983 case of Revere v. Massachusetts General Hospital, the Supreme Court held that the 14th Amendment requires the government to, quote, provide medical care to persons who have been injured while being apprehended by the police. The court also concluded that although the Eighth Amendment's prohibition on cruel and unusual punishments applied only to convicted prisoners and not to pre-trial detainees. The due process rights of an individual in this situation, now quoting, are at least as great as the Eighth Amendment protections available to a convicted prisoner. As the First Circuit Court of Appeals, which has jurisdiction over Massachusetts, explained in the 2016 case of Miranda Rivera v. Toledo Davila, quote, government officials violate the Eighth Amendment if they display deliberate indifference to a prisoner's serious medical needs. A serious medical need is one that has been diagnosed by a physician as mandating treatment or one. That is so obvious that even a layperson would easily recognize the necessity for a doctor's attention. Similarly, as the First Circuit noted in the 2001 case of Kosha v. Town of Pembroke, so-called deliberate indifference may also consist of now quoting showing a conscious failure to provide medical services where they would be reasonably appropriate. Here, the officers were informed multiple times that Miss Rizzuti was pregnant and that she was only at the 3-month mark, which would arguably be an obvious risk to a layperson and likely constitute a situation where medical, services would be reasonably appropriate. Therefore, if the allegations in the lawsuit complaint are true, Ms. Rizzuti would have a legitimate argument that the state failed to provide her with medical care as required by the 14th Amendment.
This guy tased me, the other guy kicked me. 55 years old, beaten up by the Worcester police. This guy right here.
You have an ID on you?
No, I don't. You got one on you?
I drive stunt. He got drive stunt in the back. Does he have to go? No. Just want to check him out. You know,
I'll wait for him to cool off for a minute.
Yeah.
My name's Joe, Reverend Joe Rizzuti. I don't consent you to go in my pocket. You don't care what I said.
You're under arrest. We're going to sue you.
You get away from me.
Okay?
You get away from me.
No,
This
you're
guy
under
was
arrest.
assaulted.
All right?
I'm your arrest.
Yeah.
Oh, am I? You get away from me. You've already assaulted me. Assaulted me, tased me, laying in the back of my church, this guy. Imagine that. All because he was asked a simple question. Tased me and knocked me to the ground, and this guy's pulling my pants down.
Reverend Rizzuti criticizes the officers for their use of force against him. The body camera footage shows that the officers chased Reverend Rizzuti through the church before throwing him to the ground and tasing him. The complaint filed by the Rizzutis also alleges that the officers struck Reverend and Pastor Rizzuti with closed fists and that Carissa Rizzuti was thrown to the floor, where officers stepped on her stomach and back. Although the body camera footage does not depict all of these actions, according to the Worcester Police Department's use of force policy. Quote, "It is the policy of the Worcester Police Department that an officer's force response be objectively reasonable and account for the officer's perception of the risk/threat presented by a subject, as well as the officer's perception of the subject's actions." The policy also states that, now quoting again, officers shall not use physical force upon another unless de-escalation tactics have been attempted and failed or are not feasible based on the totality of the circumstances. And drawing on principles established in the 780 U.S. 1989 case of Graham versus Connor, that an officer may use that level of non-deadly force that is effectively reasonable to effect an arrest, protect the officer or another from physical harm, restrain or subdue a resistant subject, and or bring an unlawful situation safely and effectively under control. Now, in this situation, the officers did not state the Rizzutis were under arrest, although they did appear to be attempting to arrest at least Reverend Rizzuti when the use of force began. And while Reverend Rizzuti was verbally challenging the officers, there was no reason to believe that the Rizzutis posed a threat of physical harm to the officers or other individuals in the area. At least at the time the physical force was initiated. Likewise, the body camera footage does not show the Rizzutis resisting any lawful orders, and assuming that the allegations in the complaint are true, the Rizzutis were not creating an unlawful situation because Officer Nunez had already informed Rachel Rizzuti that he did not have any paperwork and she was not under arrest. Therefore, a court could find that the amount of force the officers used was both a violation of Worcester PD policy and constitutionally excessive, although it is difficult to give a conclusive opinion given the chaotic and incomplete nature of the body camera footage. Furthermore, the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court held in the 1983 case of Commonwealth versus Modera that although individuals do not have the general right to resist unlawful arrest under state law, quote, where the officer uses excessive or unnecessary force to subdue the arrestee, regardless of whether the arrest is lawful or unlawful, the arrestee may defend himself by employing such force as reasonably appears to be necessary. Now, in that situation, the court concluded that an arrestee may defend himself by employing the degree of force that reasonably appears to be necessary under the circumstances. As such, the Rizzutis would be able to argue that they were acting in self-defense against excessive force from the officers if they were to be charged with resisting.
They're going to check him out. They're waiting for him to calm down. They're waiting for him to calm down.
I like my money clip and my money back.
We'll take care of that.
Look at these guys. You guys getting this on video? Taking all my stuff out of my pockets, my money, my money clip, everything.
Your whole behavior, all on video. All your behavior.
That's how that works.
Don't worry about it. Okay? So shut your mouth.
Oh, really? Shut my mouth.
Did they prevent you from getting the kid?
I wasn't here for like I said. It was a lot. We were trying to get to there, and he kept interfering, and he wouldn't calm down. He kept causing a scene, then he ran here.
Where did you get, where you got tased?
I have no idea. He got tased right in the middle back here.
Can I just look at it? Is that all right?
Relax. I gotta check you out. Right here. All right, we're good. All right, you're all set to go to the wagon. Let's go.
Yeah, we're fine. We'll get it.
That's for this guy here. Okay. Let me find out. I don't know what the got going on, but thank you.
They did all this in front of him.
I'm good here. They just need a card for the other guy. All right, guys, we're good.
Mom,
Thank you.
they're gonna tell you, you're going to the police station. You gotta bail us.
Reverend Rizzuti was charged with assault and battery on a police officer, resisting arrest, disorderly conduct, disturbing the peace, assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, and interference with a police investigation. And Pastor Rizzuti was charged with interference with a police investigation and resisting arrest. The resisting arrest charges against both men were dismissed prior to trial, and a judge acquitted them of all other charges after a bench trial. Carissa Rizzuti was charged with interference with a police investigation, which was also dismissed. And Rachel Rizzuti was charged with several offenses, including a kidnapping charge. The kidnapping charge was later dismissed, and the other charges against her were decriminalized. On August 23, 2022, the Rizzutis filed a federal lawsuit against officers Nunez and Capabianca, along with several other officers and Worcester government officials for unreasonable force, assault and battery, conspiracy, malicious prosecution, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and other federal claims. The complaint alleges that in addition to the physical injuries sustained. During the altercation, Pastor Rizzuti's son, along with the other family members, were traumatized by this event. The complaint also includes allegations of a pattern of misconduct by the Worcester Police Department. As of the date of writing this episode, the lawsuit is still pending. On November 15, 2022, the DOJ announced it would be launching a civil investigation into the Worcester Police Department to assess whether the department engages in a pattern or practice of excessive force or engages in discriminatory policing based on race or sex, according to a press release issued by the Department of Justice. The investigation will include a comprehensive review of policies, procedures, trainings, investigatory files, and data, as well as an examination of the department's systems of accountability, including its systems to address misconduct complaints and discipline, and an evaluation of how WPD officers interact with the public, collect evidence, and complete investigations. Overall, the Worcester officers get an F for utterly failing to de-escalate a contentious situation using excessive and unnecessary force against the residues and seemingly pursuing inflated criminal charges against the family and against Reverend Rizzuti in particular. Now, although I cannot speak to the validity of all of the allegations in the complaint for the Rizzutis' lawsuit, it is clear even from the limited portions of the interaction that was captured on body camera that the officers used more force than was necessary to resolve a non-criminal situation. And, as the Rizzutis were acquitted of all criminal charges and the DOJ is currently investigating the Worcester Police Department for repeated instances of excessive force, I am inclined believe that at least a good portion of the Rizzutis' claims are accurate. I truly hope that the DOJ investigation yields accurate and actionable results that can be transformed into meaningful change for this police department, including appropriate disciplinary action against transgressing officers, so that we do not see these same officers involved in another encounter like this one in the future. As for the Rizzutis, I cannot assign an accurate grade based on the body camera footage, as it did not capture the family's interactions with the officers when they first arrived on the scene, nor did it clearly record most of Pastor Rizzuti's and Miss Rizzuti's actions. What I can say for certain is that the Rizzutis appeared to remain within their First Amendment rights in their criticism of the officers' conduct. And while Reverend Rizzuti would likely have been in a better position had he not run through the church in an attempt to escape the officers, I understand why he acted out of fear towards the officers. Thank you very much for watching the video. Subscribe our channel for next video.